I have to be honest with you. When you sent over the link for today's deep dive, I thought my file was broken.
What do you mean?
I opened it up, and it's just .text. No video, no holographic interface, not even a dynamic ad banner. It looks like something from the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I actually checked my connection to make sure I wasn't, loading a cached page from 30 years ago.
It is jarring, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're so used to the web in 2026 being this sensory overload.
Yeah.
Immersive VR, auto-playing streams, AI-generated layouts that change every time you blink.
Exactly.
But what you're looking at isn't broken. It's intentional. You've just stepped into a very quiet, very specific corner of the internet.
It feels less like a website and more like a text file someone just forgot to close. The site is qianmeng.org, and the author, he goes by Ang, the tagline is Musings of an Old Software Plumber.
I love that. Software plumber.
And the specific piece of content we're supposed to be looking at today is a blog post, a text blog post, published literally today, Wednesday, January 28, 2026.
And the title is Notes on Haskell Programming, Part 43, Adding Descriptions to Our CLI Program.
Part 43. I mean, who writes 43 parts about anything anymore? Most content I consume is usually summarized in, 3 bullet points by my AI assistant before I even open my eyes.
That is exactly why we're here. In an era where AI generates terabytes of content every second, this blog is an anomaly.
It certainly is.
It's not content, it's a chronicle. It's like a digital museum of a specific human brain working through problems in real time. And while the topic Haskell programming might sound a little dry.
A little.
Okay, very dry. The philosophy behind it is actually kind of radical for 2026.
Radical how? Because looking at this, it just looks like a coding tutorial.
It masquerades as a tutorial, but if you actually read it, it's a manifesto on how to learn complex things without losing your mind and how to maintain your humanity when machines can do all the work for you.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
But before we get to the philosophy, we have to respect the plumber and look at the pipes he's fixing.
Fair enough. Let's look at the technical side first. The what? He is building a tool called XS2 ebook. I stared at that name for a solid minute trying to decipher it. Access to ebook. Access.
I had to dig into the repository history to figure that one out. It's a bit obscure, but it's a tool specifically designed to convert Chinese TXT novels into ebooks.
Okay, so it's a command line tool, a CLI. For the listeners who aren't deep in the tech weeds, we should probably clarify what that means.
Yeah, good idea.
We aren't talking about an app with buttons and menus here.
Right. No, absolutely not. A CLI, or command line interface, is the hacker screen. It's that black box with the blinking cursor. You type text commands and the computer spits text back.
Right. It's raw, it's fast, and
it's unforgiving. If you don't know the magic words to type, the program just sits there and stares at you.
Which brings us to the problem Ang is solving in this specific post. He realized that his program, X2 book, was a bit too unforgiving. If a user asked for help, the program basically just shrugged.
Right. It had no description. It didn't tell the user what it was for.
Yeah.
So the goal of Part 43 is incredibly small.
Tiny.
Make the program say, a tool to convert Chinese TXT novel to ebooks when someone checks the usage guide.
It seems almost trivial. I mean, changing a line of text, why does that require a whole blog post?
Because he's doing it in Haskell.
The scary math language.
Haskell is special. It's a purely functional programming language. In languages like Python or JavaScript, you just tell the computer, print this text.
Simple enough.
In Haskell, everything is a mathematical expression. You have to sort of prove to the compiler that what you're doing is logically sound. You don't just add text. You have to modify the data structure that represents the program's description.
I notice he talks about replacing a specific term in the code. He mentions removing idim.
Yes, idim.
And replacing it with progdesk. I'm assuming idim doesn't stand for I don't mind.
No. It stands for identity monoid.
Okay, you're losing me. That sounds like something from a quantum physics lecture.
It's simpler than it sounds, but it is very abstract. Think about basic math, like addition.
Okay.
If you have the number 5 and you want to add something to it but keep it as 5, what do you add?
0.
Correct. 0 is the identity for addition. It means do nothing or nothing to change here.
Right.
Now think about multiplication. If you have a 5 and want to multiply it by something but keep it as 5.
You multiply it by 1.
Exactly. So 1 is the identity for multiplication.
Yeah.
In Haskell, when Ang was defining his program's options originally, he didn't have a description. But the code requires a value there.
You can't just leave a blank space.
You can't just leave a blank space in the math equation.
Yeah.
So he used idimin, the identity monoid, It's the 0 for that specific type of data structure.
So it's a fancy mathematical way of telling the computer, I'm explicitly putting nothing here.
Precisely. His code used to say the description is mathematical nothing. And now he's swapping that nothing for an actual sentence.
Wow.
He changes modifier idim to a chain of functions that includes full desk and the string, a tool to convert Chinese TXT novel to ebooks.
And what I love is that he shows the immediate result. He runs the command stack run help and shows us the output. Before, it said missing.description.
And now it prints the sentence.
It's a tiny victory. But he doesn't stop there. This is the part that struck me as very workmanlike. He immediately goes to his test file.
Yes, the spec.hs file.
He updates the test to look for that new string, help MStree should contain, and then his new description. I feel like most people, especially just tinkering on a hobby project late at night, would skip that step.
Oh, for sure.
The code works, right? Why bother updating the automated test?
That is the difference between a hacker and a software plumber. A plumber worries about leaks. A plumber worries about what happens 6 months from now when you come back to fix a pipe and forget which valve does what. By updating the test, Aang is building a safety net. If he accidentally breaks that description in part 50, the test from part 43 will scream at him. It's a discipline that is very hard to maintain, but he's doing it for even the smallest changes.
So that's the technical side. He swapped a mathematical 0 for a sentence and updated his safety net. But then the post pivots, and this is where I think the 2026 context really matters.
Yes.
He starts talking about artificial intelligence.
This was the paragraph that made me stop skimming and start reading closely.
He writes, I have realized that the best way to leverage AI when learning a new programming language is to build the project incrementally. And then he calls AI a fast, glorified search engine.
Which is a fascinating take in 2026. Right now, most developers I know aren't using AI as a search engine. They're using it as a ghostwriter.
Totally. They type, build me a CLI that converts Chinese novels, and the AI spits out the entire code block.
Exactly. They paste it, it works, and they move on.
And Aang clearly knows he could do that. He says the AI can provide accurate answers, but he's intentionally restricting how he uses it.
He's drawing a line between production and learning. If the goal is just to have the software, sure, let the AI write it.
Right, just to get it done.
But his goal is to learn Haskell.
Yeah.
And if the AI writes the code for you, you haven't learned anything. You've just supervised a machine.
He uses the word momentum. He says the AI keeps his momentum steady.
That is the killer feature. Think about learning a hard language like Haskell. It's frustrating. The compiler screams at you about monoids and functors.
I can imagine.
In the old days, say 2020, you might get stuck in a syntax error for 4 hours. You get discouraged. You quit. Aang is using AI to shrink that 4-hour frustration down to 30 seconds. Hey, AI, why is this monoid failing? The AI explains, he fetches it, and he keeps moving.
So he uses the AI to remove the friction, but he still does the walking.
Exactly. It's like having a really smart librarian sitting next to you rather than a ghostwriter doing your homework.
And that plays into his whole methodology, this aggressive incrementalism.
He breaks the mountain down into pebbles. Part 43 is just adding a description. Part 42 was probably something equally small. By keeping the steps tiny and using AI to smooth out the bumps, he ensures he never hits a wall big enough to make him quit.
And speaking of not quitting, I want to talk about the who, because while I was reading this post, I got curious. I saw the part 43 in the title and thought, okay, that's a decent series. But then I clicked the home button to see what else he's written.
You found the archives.
I found, I don't even know what to call it. I clicked into the archives and I started scrolling. And scrolling.
It just keeps going, doesn't it?
I looked at the stats for this month alone, January 2026. We were on the 28th. How many posts do you think a prolific blogger writes in a month? Maybe one a day.
If they're really dedicated, maybe 30.
84?
Wait, 84 in January.
84 posts just in January. And I thought, okay, maybe he's just having a manic month. So I checked December 2025, 62 posts. November, 60. I scrolled back through 2024, 2023. He has been posting consistently multiple times a day, every single month. The archives go back to 2011.
That is staggering.
Yeah.
That is almost inhuman consistency. It completely reframes the part 43 on the Haskell post.
It really does.
If you're posting 3 times a day, you aren't just writing tutorials, you're documenting your existence.
And it's not just code. That's the best part. I started looking at the categories in the sidebar. Sure, you have notes on Haskell and notes on Python. But then I saw notes on gardening, Notes on fish keeping, notes on dieting, notes on photography.
Notes on meditation.
Notes on meditation. It's
Yeah.
a chronicle of everything. And the part numbers, look at the part numbers. Notes on Haskell is relatively new for him.
Right.
Notes on gardening. He is on part 790.
Part 790.
Part 790, part 789. Addressing leggy vinca, part 781, the upward growth of.
Addressing leggy vinca. That is so specific. It's so beautifully mundane.
Notes on fish keeping. Part 182, also posted today, by the way, is light adjustments. Part 175 is decoding duckweed. Part 173 is the blackbeard algae.
You know, when you read those titles out loud, decoding duckweed next to adding descriptions to CLI, you realize something profound.
What's that?
To Ang, these are the same thing.
How so? One is a plant, one is software.
It's the software plumber mindset applied to reality. Think about how a developer works. You see a bug, you investigate, you try a fix, you verify the fix, you document it.
Okay, I see where you're going.
The blackbeard algae is a bug in his aquarium system. Adjusting the light is the patch. Decoding duckweed is him reading the documentation for the biological software he's running in his tank.
That is a brilliant connection. So whether he is debugging a type error in Haskell or debugging why his vinca plants are getting leggy, he uses the exact same process.
Observe, tweak, document, repeat.
And verify. Remember the test case in the code?
Yes. I bet if we read notes on dieting, we'd see the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. Notes on dieting. Part 114 is deep dive into Lei Sha. Part 111 is daily body weight. He's tracking the inputs and outputs of his own metabolism, just like he tracks the I/O of that CLI program.
It's the scientific method as a lifestyle. And the fact that he calls them notes is the secret to his volume.
How do you mean?
He isn't trying to write the ultimate guide to fish keeping. That would be paralyzing. He's just writing Note 182. It lowers the bar for publication so much. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present.
It also feels incredibly generous. I noticed on the sidebar he links to the EFF, the Free Software Foundation, the Tor Project. These are all organizations dedicated to the open web.
Yes. He's clearly a believer in the open source ethos, but he's taking it a step further. He's open sourcing his own life.
Yeah.
He's saying, here's what I learned about ferns today. Maybe it helps you, maybe it doesn't, but here it is. In 2026, where everyone is hoarding their data or putting it behind a paywall, giving away your knowledge, even the tiny mundane knowledge, is a radical act.
It's interesting you mentioned the mundane, because old software plumber sounds, well, unglamorous. Sounds like a job you do in a basement.
But that's the point. We glorify the architects, the people who design the skyscrapers. But the plumber is the one who makes sure the water actually flows on the 50th floor.
Right.
The plumber deals with the mess. The plumber deals with the reality of the system, not the theory. Ang is showing us that learning, whether it's Haskell or gardening, is mostly plumbing. It's maintenance. It's showing up every day to tighten a bolt or wipe a leaf.
You don't get to gardening part 790 by being a visionary. You get there by noticing the vinca is leggy and doing something about it.
Exactly. And you get there by not quitting when the plants die. You write a note about why they died and you start part 791.
It brings us back to that idea of momentum. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Learn Haskell in 24 hours. Get a perfect garden in one weekend.
Yeah.
Ang is the antidote to that. He's playing a game where the only way to win is to keep playing.
It's the difference between a sprint and a marathon. But he's running the marathon by taking tiny steps 3 times a day for 15 years. And honestly, that is the only way you actually master anything.
It's the accumulation of solved problems. That's a great way to put it.
It also creates this fascinating feedback loop. The writing drives the action. If you know you maintain a daily log, you have to do something today so you have something to write about.
That's a great point.
It forces you to make that code change. It forces you to check the water parameters. The blog isn't just a record of his life. It's the engine that drives it.
So we started this deep dive looking at a single line of Haskell code, replacing a mathematical zero with a helpful sentence. But we've ended up looking at a philosophy of how to live in a high-tech world.
It's a philosophy of intentionality. Don't just consume. Create, document, and don't let the tools, whether it's AI or a fancy IDE, rob you of the struggle, because the struggle is where the learning happens.
And do it all in the open. I think that's what I'm taking away from this. It's the bravery of being a beginner in public over and over again. Part 43 of Haskell, part 790 of gardening. He's an expert in being a beginner.
That's a beautiful way to frame it. He's an expert in the process of becoming an expert.
This has been a genuinely surprising journey. I don't think I'll look at a simple changelog the same way again. It makes you wonder, what else is hiding in those plain text files on the old web?
It definitely makes me want to go start a text file with my own notes on something.
And that is the perfect place to leave it. We often wait until we are experts to start sharing. We wait until the project is finished. But Aang is at part 790, and he's still just taking notes. So here's my question for you to mull over as you go back to your VR headsets and your AI feeds. If you started documenting your smallest hobby today, not for an audience, just for the record, just one note at a time, what part number would you reach in 10 years?
And how much would you have learned simply because you refused to break the chain?
Thanks for diving deep with us. Go take that smallest possible step. We'll see you next time.